Welcome on into another edition of the Scots Sports Show. I am your host, Tyler Trumbauer. Another week, another show, another Boro football talk session to kick things off as I'm joined by the dynamic duo that we talk Boro football with. To my immediate right, we have the play-by-play voice of Boro football, Mike Fenner, and to the far side, we have head coach Scott Browning. Coach, homecoming this past Saturday, all the pageantry, beautiful day in the Boro for football. Almost 5,000 people packing the Sox Harrison Stadium. Unfortunately, ending up on the losing side against a undefeated Clarion Golden Eagles team. What did you see from that contest? Clarion just going from worst to first in the PSAC and then coming on in for homecoming.
Well, I think it goes back to, we talked to our players about it. Clarion, I think it's really important to get off to a great start in the season. And, Clarion opened the season up with 3 victories. And, over Lock Haven, Millersville, and I can't think of the other one right now. But, and basically when you can win early, it gives you confidence. And that's something that we've not done yet. And I think the biggest difference in Saturday's game, I thought our guys played extremely hard. But I think that when it came down to stretch, I think the confidence that Clarion played with versus our confidence, because we've not had a lot of success this year, I think it probably ended up being a difference.
Certainly, Coach. And so obviously, you wanted to get the win. You thought it was close. How did you feel about that first half? 19-10 right around at the break. And then, so how'd you feel about those first 2 quarters? You feel you were in a good position to, potentially come up on the winning side in that game?
I thought we were in great position. We had the football for 18 minutes in the first half. And, we knew that we were going to go out and receive the opening kickoff for the second half. And I felt there, had we gone out and put points on the scoreboard, even if it was a field goal and made it 19-13, I thought that we put ourselves in position to have confidence and play excited football and have a chance to win the thing in the second half.
Coach, how much of that confidence was boosted by the negative yardage plays that your defense was able to create in the first half, with especially the sacks and then tackles for loss, only allowing them to -8 rushing yards in the first half?
Yeah, our defense played well. Now, we did give up some big plays in the passing game. And big plays that, all that's correctable, and we've got to get it corrected. Sometimes when you give up a big play, it takes the wind out of the sails. And defensively, I thought we played well, though. We held them to 19 points. Actually, the touchdown that they earned right before the half, I kind of put that on the offense a little bit. We probably should have ran the clock a little bit more. I thought we could move the football, though, and maybe it was 13-10. I thought we had an opportunity to move the ball down the field and at least get a field goal. Backfired, saved too much time on the clock, and consequently they had enough time to go down and put a 6-pointer on us.
Coach, now with the 6 losses this year, is there a change you feel that needs to be made, or is it just more repetitions and execution, and hopefully that carries on into game day?
I think that we need to continue to do a lot of things that we're doing. Execution has got to improve. You can't turn the football over. You can't throw interceptions. You can't fumble the football. You can't have blown coverages at this point in the season. And, the only way you correct it's to practice. And football is one of those sports. It's not a lot of fun to practice sometimes. And you just got to grit your teeth and move forward and keep working.
And now right back at it this week, practice on Sunday, short week to move into this one. The Gannon Golden Knights, the quick trek up I-79 to Erie. What do you make of that Golden Knights team, which has had ups and downs so far this season, as high as receiving votes in the national poll, and to have some upset losses, including one to Clarion, as Clarion was proving itself in the conference. What do you make of Gannon this far?
Well, Gannon's a good football team. In most polls they were picked to win the West, and for the right reasons. They've got the senior quarterback back, and they've got a heck of a running back. Offensively, they're very strong. Defensively, they return darn near everyone. They're a talented football team, and why aren't they leading the pack right now? That's why you play the games, and you've got to get up every. Why is Clarion leading the pack?
Mm-hmm.
You have to get up every Saturday, and you've got to play. And I think that right now that's our problem. When you talk about Gannon being a rivalry game, our veteran players understand that, but our first-year players haven't experienced it yet. And we have 3 seniors that's actually on the field for us right now. So, hopefully we can gain some momentum, and some of our young guys can understand how important this game is.
So far this season, you've seen the likes of Matt Soltez and now Connor Simmons this past week in terms of good quarterback play. Where do you put Liam Nadler among those guys with Gannon? You've seen him before coming into this season. Where do you kind of rank him with the PSAC quarterbacks?
He's right there with all of them. I think what Liam does, he manages the game, and I think he always has Gannon in the correct play. I think he's a great game manager, and he's extremely intelligent. He's a confident guy. He's got good people around him. He's got a nice offensive lineup in front of him. So he's as fine as there is.
What are you going to do going into this game, Coach? I think maybe having Jake as a runner too really helps the running game, and I think we saw that on Saturday. We've seen that in previous games. What is going to be the approach to this Thursday night contest?
Well, offensively speaking, we're going to try to cut the pie back a little bit. Short week, like you'd mentioned. Try to do some of the things that we've done well up to this point. Some of the things that match up against their defense. But it's important for us to go out and have success early. I think that is really the thing that we have stressed. We've got to have success that first series of the game. And so that's kind of been our emphasis.
Let's see if you guys can get that done this Thursday night with the Gannon Golden Knights. Quick trip up to Erie, 6 o'clock, quick turnaround from the Clarion contest, all of that. You can hear it, Mike and I, 88.9, Fighting Scots Radio, EdinboroNow.com, the TuneIn app. Coach, appreciate the time, and good luck on Thursday.
I appreciate your time.
The Scots Sports Show rolls along with more Boro football talk with kicker Austin Reese after this. Welcome back to the Scots Sports Show. Boro football talk prevails and continues here on the show. Mike Fenner sticking around to my right now, far side, joined by one of the newest members of the Edinboro Fighting Scots football team, a transfer kicker, punter extraordinaire, Austin Reese. Austin, thanks for joining us here on the show. Obviously transferring in last year, having to redshirt that season, then coming into this year. So this is your first year of competition on the field for the Fighting Scots. Records, all of that aside, what do you make of your first year as a Fighting Scot playing for the football team?
Let me start off by saying I don't think that by our record right now, people think, are they really an 0-6 team? I don't think we are. But for me, I love going out every Saturday, starting the game usually. And hopefully we'll continue to do something big this week.
Certainly, and you've been big all year. I mean, earlier on you won PSAC West Special Teams Player of the Week. How do you feel you've done this season individually, being a Fighting Scot?
As an individual, I feel like I've prevailed, but I mean, I'm only one guy, so I owe it to the other 10 guys on the field who I'm with. But I mean, as a whole, I think Special Teams has done great so far. I think we need to continue to kind of be up and coming. Got a lot of young guys in the field. It's hard right now, not being a seasoned team. We play in the PSAC with a lot of seasoned guys, so it's hard.
Austin, what's the nature of not only being relied on to kick field goals and extra points, but to punt, kick off? I mean, you're really the integral part of the special teams, kicking units all the way around. What's that like?
It's really nothing new. It's just another day in the office, really. In high school, I did the same exact thing. I was limited to only being, the only one who could actually kick the ball in high school. So this is kind of like the same thing. I just think of going out there and just continuing on. Nothing new, nothing major.
Certainly. One thing Edinboro hasn't really had a kicker that they can rely on with the deep kicks, the field goal range. How does that, make you feel that, you can actually bring something to a special teams unit now that, maybe struggled to kick a 23-yard field goal. Now I think Coach Browning, he's admitted to us on this show that he's comfortable kicking within 50 yards with you. I mean, how's it feel to be able to bring that confidence in the kicking game from Coach and to really bring up the special teams unit?
Me and Coach have a tight bond, and I told him right from the beginning, I was like, Coach, you put your trust into me, I'll give you my all. So even at practice, we're not afraid to kick the deep balls, on Friday and Thursday when we're warming up. But it's nice to see that Coach has a lot of stuff going on. So it's nice to see that he can, kind of just rely on me, and kind of that's one less thing he's got to worry about, come Saturday or come game day.
You said you enjoyed the thrill of playing on Saturdays, but what's the routine and the workload like leading up to that each week in practice? What's that like for you leading into the game?
The workload for me is more of a mental standpoint, where a lot of other guys, it's more physical. So for me, it's not about repetition. It's not about, how many times I do something. It's about just preparing and visualizing, like, what do I have to do every single Saturday to be successful.
Absolutely, and so let me ask you this question, just kind of maybe out of personal curiosity, is what is your exact range? I mean, as a kicker for my 1 year of football. and starting nose guard, as I like to bring up to Mike a lot. What is your range exactly? What would you feel comfortable if coaches like, can you do this, with the game on the line maybe? What would you feel comfortable doing?
Every single pregame, I go out there and, I check out what's my range for the day. And consistently, I don't know why, it's been 54 and in. So for right now, that's my range. Hopefully we get to kick a real deep one pretty soon. But that's the range for now. I'll keep it that way.
So obviously, you said you're only one guy. You can't really do too much to help the greater good. You just do your part, and you've done it well thus far this season. But you're a part of that team. You're in the locker room. So what are the guys saying? What is their mentality moving forward now in going into these last 5 weeks of the season?
Like I said before, I am a firm believer we are not an 0-6 team. I think a lot of the people watching the game, they're not an 0-6 team. We have a lot of young guys, and it's hard for young guys to take the leadership role, kind of lead the team when they're trying to lead themselves. They're trying to find out, where do I fit in on this team? So, we go out there, we practice every day. It's mental, it's physical. We go out there, we have a great time doing it. All the guys, we mesh well. So we're gonna go out there and continue doing our thing.
What do you feel about kicking now when it's going to start to get a little bit colder? Does that kind of affect you? Because don't get used to what happened on Saturday in Edinboro. You're lucky we don't have any home games in November. But in these upcoming weeks, it's going to get a little bit colder. How does that affect you as a kicker? I'm sure you've experienced it in your past career. But what does that do to maybe your routine and your overall psyche in a game?
Coming from Buffalo, it's kind of like the same exact weather, and that's why I kind of like being in Edinboro. It's almost like being at home. But for me, being in the cold, that just means, longer socks and more hand warmers.
Still can kick that 54-yarder?
Still can kick it.
All righty.
It's all about technique for me.
Maybe we'll have to see that in the upcoming weeks. See if he can boot it through the snow, the conditions, whatever it may be in the upcoming weeks. Austin, we appreciate the time, and good luck on Thursday and the rest of the year.
Thank you very much, guys.
And the Scots Sports Show will continue along as we'll move from Boro football to Boro swimming. They get started on Friday. They'll join me next. Welcome back to the Scots Sports Show. Moving on to Boro swimming, which gets things underway this Friday night at 6 o'clock against the IUP Crimson Hawks. Let's introduce the cast of characters I have with me from Boro swimming now. On the far side, representing the men's swim team, we have Josh Beabow on that team. Right there. Josh, you can wave to the camera if you want. I don't want to stop you. You can say hi to Mom if you want to, if she's watching at home. We have Charlotte Drozda, am I right there?
Yes.
There we go, from the women's swim team, and on the far side, representing both teams, their head coach, Chris Rhodes, right here on the show. Thanks for joining me, guys. Appreciate it. Coach, starting off with you for this upcoming season, you can separate men's and women's and go individually for the answers, but what are your early season thoughts on the team now that the two-a-day practices, all that intense training is kind of winding down soon, and you're about to get that first meet underway?
I'm very optimistic with this season. We've been doing a tremendous job in the water and in the weight room. And I think that I think we're going to be a lot better than what people really anticipate. After what I've seen, how we're working, I think we're going to have a very good year.
Certainly. Let's go to the individual players for the team. Josh, how do you feel the men's team has done? You have been through a couple of teams here in different years, recruiting classes. What do you feel this team is like?
I feel this team this year is going to be very good. We have a lot of young swimmers, but they're very talented, and I feel that our team is going to be on the top this year.
Charlotte, for the ladies, got a couple, that you've got to replace, some up-and-comers, some returners. Putting all that together, what's the women's team looking like?
I think we're ready to go. I think our training is farther along than it ever has been at this point. At least that's what we think in the practices. We think it's harder than it is the year before, and I think that it's really shaping up to be a good season. So,
Coach, how does it matter that you're starting at home? Does that give you any maybe advantage or anything, or does it not really matter whether you're swimming here, Ohio? Doesn't really matter.
Water's water. I mean, that's the nice thing about it. It's nice to be home. It's nice to start off at home, especially since we have a number of younger swimmers. But at the same time, I think everyone's just eager to race. We've been training for the past 6 weeks. Getting up at 5:30 in the morning and then coming back in the afternoon and doing a lot of training. We're ready to race, and I think that's where everybody wants to see kind of where we are and get off on a good note. And again, I like the way we're shaping up right now.
Josh, for you, I mean, what are you doing individually right now? Obviously, the team is going through a rigorous training schedule right now. Coach mentioned early mornings, afternoon practices as well. What are you doing individually to get yourself prepared for this upcoming season and be the best you can be?
Just working harder in practice. Like when there's an easy set, we just kind of take it harder than usual. It's a lot of mentality, so it's all in your mind, and that's a good point that I like to share with everybody. That like sports is a lot of mind, and I think that guys and girls can do it, and we'll do well this year.
Yeah, Charlotte, with this team, and Coach said the early mornings, the afternoons, that's maybe something that a lot of students on campus might not expect the swim team to do 2 practices a day. What is it like to be a swimmer, especially for Coach Rhodes, who's a very intense coach when it comes to his training? What is that like to go through that practice and really be a member of Boro swimming?
It's definitely your family, and the people in the pool are the only ones that know exactly what you're doing. At 4 years of doing it, I still show up to class with wet hair, and people go, "Oh, it's 9 o'clock in the morning. Did you take a shower?" "No, I just got out of practice like I have for the last 4 years." So your team knows what you're doing, and that's what really matters. And it's a lot of work. You learn to balance it, but you know what you're doing. Coach knows what you're doing, and that's what gets you ready for it. So.
Certainly, Coach. Now you say you feel you're going to exceed some expectations of some others. Other than the 2 that you brought with you today, what are some swimmers that maybe we as spectators should be looking out for as this season progresses?
I think on the men's side, Micah Cattell, Justin Ransel, they've been very consistent and have done very well. Luke Frederick, I think he seems to really have taken on the new role this year. His mindset's great. And I think that with the freshmen, it's just the excitement of them racing. They've done well on their high school level, at their club level, and I think that they're going to do well, on the college level. For the women, we have a very strong junior class, and I expect them to do well. Holly Stein has really come along very well, both in the water and out of the water, and I think that that's really gonna show for her. The training for some of the other girls, like Charlotte said, I mean they're busting, and I mean it's kind of fun to just sit back and watch, because I know right now I can tell who's going to have a great year, and it comes down to the mental aspect, like Josh indicated, that as long as they're doing what they're supposed to be doing, we're going to do very well. With the sophomores, they've got the year under their belt. They know what to expect now, and I think that that's really going to kind of help them in the long run. And we brought in some, talented freshmen. So I think like I said, I'm looking forward to it.
Josh, you're a member of that men's team, and you've been in that locker room. You're training with them this preseason. Maybe it's not something that you've had to talk with Coach yet, or it's just between the locker room with you guys. But are there any team goals, team expectations that you guys have kind of set aside and outlined for the upcoming year?
The team goals, I'd say all of us making a PSAX. That's a big goal, and I think that we will. We have a really strong, like I said before, we have a strong guys team, and I think we will work towards it with the coach's training and the mentality that we have. So,
Charlotte, same question for you. What are the ladies trying to get out of the 2015-16 season?
Definitely, like Josh said, everybody to PSAC. That would be awesome. This is one of the years. Sometimes the numbers get too big and they limit how many can go, but I think we're in a position that we can all go, and that would be amazing. Also, I know the girls a lot on academics. We like to be up at the top, and that's a big focus. I know we've done very well in the past, so we've got team goals written down, and that's one of them. So
there you go, Boro swimming, getting it done in the classroom and in the pool, because water's water and books are books. So it's the same thing, right? They'll get things underway in Macomb Friday night, 6 o'clock. The Crimson Hawks coming on in. Go out and support Boro swimming. We're going to continue the Scots Sports Show after this commercial break as we move on to the men's and women's tennis teams who, not unlike their Boro swimming counterparts who are just getting things started, just wrapped up their fall sports season. They join me next. Welcome back to the Scots Sports Show. Boro tennis is now joining me here in studio. To the far side, representing the men's tennis team, we have Danny Fernandez of the men's team. To the near side for the women's team, we have Roxana Yeh And to my immediate right, we have head men's and women's tennis coach Lee Underwood. Guys, appreciate the time. Thanks for joining me today on the show. Coach, starting off with you, just wrapped up the fall portion of the season. That includes the individual championships for the PSAC regionals, and then you had a couple matches in there for the team side. Overall, what are your feelings on the fall portion of this season?
Well, I thought we did pretty well overall. The women's team, we had a tough one against John Carroll on Saturday. Probably didn't meet my expectations of the outcome, but I thought we've established ourselves as stronger than we've been in the past, so we're moving forward.
Certainly. Roxanna, he talks about the ladies 3-1 in the fall portion of the season. Obviously taking that loss to John Carroll at the end there. How do you feel the ladies have done overall as a team for the fall?
I think we are definitely a stronger team than we were last year. Almost half of our team is either freshmen. We have 3 freshmen and 1 transfer. So we're definitely trying to work on that. We're working hard every single practice to get better.
Danny, for the men's side, not as many matches as the ladies had this fall portion of the season. But how do you feel the guys have done in the fall?
I think we have done a really good job. We've won all of our matches. And I think we have a pretty strong team. They're young, but strong team for the next spring.
Coach, both the underlying theme, and you've talked about it before right here on the show, is the youth with your program. What does that do as an advantage and maybe a disadvantage as well as you move into the spring portion?
Well, doubles and getting to the net, working on transition, and those type of things are always more difficult for new players coming into the program versus players that have been here. The transition from juniors, into collegiate tennis. We're working really hard on the doubles. It's my philosophy that we're going to win or lose by how well we play doubles this spring. So that's the focus going into our out of season activities that are coming up. Working hard on that into the game. I think both teams have shown great growth in both areas, but we're going to have to continue to get better in April. How well we get by April will decide how well we do.
Certainly. Danny, back to you. For the guys team, you have what Coach says, one of the best players in the region, if not the best player in Vitor. And, what does he do for the team, just being able to compete with him, against him in practice, aside him? What does he do for the entire team?
Oh, Vitor's a great player for the team. He definitely gets the level up in practice. We trust him 100% in the matches. And we're all happy with him and the rest of the team. Everybody's giving 100% in the practices. And we hope the best for next semester.
Yeah, now, Roxanna, going into the, as Coach said, the out-of-season activities, what do you want to do maybe individually or for the ladies overall, too? What are they going to try to work on in these upcoming winter months before you get back into things in February?
I think girls, we agree that we definitely need to get strong in doubles. So I think we all agree that we're going to practice really hard to get that done. And we're also definitely working on being more united as a team. So we're hanging out together and trying to be like a big family.
Certainly. Danny, for the guys, what do you think is their biggest points that they're going to try to work on in the off season? Maybe it's something you need to work on as well individually, but overall, what do the guys want to do in the midway point of this season now, the off season part heading into the spring?
Firstly, we want to get our conditioning better. Also, try to get the first ball, try to finish the points, try to attack in the points instead of defending. Try to be the team that's attacking, that is proposing. Also, try to, how Coach said, work on the transition and try to finish the point in the net.
Sounds good. Coach, overall, what kind of, as this is a very unique thing, how you start the season, you stop, and then you kind of go into competition again, not really any other sports like that. As a coach of these two teams, what do you do in this offseason with the players, with the team, to keep them, going in competition mode, sort of, and also what do you do to train in this off-season months?
Well, we're allowed 8 hours a week, and some of that will be spent in the weight room. Some of it will be spent on footwork. We're allowed 2 hours on court. So, a large portion of that with the NCAA rule change will allow us to have the whole team there to do this. In the past, it's been 4 at a time, so there's a lot more doing the same thing with each group, trying to work with doubles, but now we can work with everyone there at the same time. But also within that 2 hours, we do some individual work with the players, try and get some techniques and some strokes, better. But my primary focus will be to establish us better for doubles and have a better starting point for when we get back in January.
There you go. Only 8 hours a week, but they're going to try to make the most of it, get it done, and before you know it, Walsh, February, it'll be all time to start it all over again. Guys, appreciate the time today and enjoy the off-season activities. And like I said, February will be here before you know it.
Thank you.
Thank you,
And the
Tyler.
Scots Sports Show is going to continue along after this as we'll wrap things up, talk about the Scots of the week, and take a look at what is upcoming for Edinboro University's student athletes. Congratulations to Sydney Trathan and Danny Fernandez of the women's volleyball and men's tennis teams for being named this week's female and male Scots of the Week. Trathan, who's just in her sophomore season as a member of the women's volleyball team, moved into 9th all-time in career assists as she amassed over 1,500 assists with over 40 assists in their 3-0 win against Gannon last week. Fernandez won twice in Saturday's match against John Carroll. He teamed with Matias Santos for the lone doubles win for the men's tennis team and also won his singles match as well. Congratulations to both of them. Now let's take a look at what is upcoming for Edinboro's student athletes. The football team gets things underway Thursday night, tonight, against Gannon at 6 p.m. And then on Friday, the women's volleyball team has their final PSAC East-West crossover of the season as they head east for 2 matches at Kutztown's Keystone Arena, and then another 2 at East Stroudsburg's Kohler Fieldhouse. As well, they'll be facing Cheney, Kutztown, Westchester, and East Stroudsburg in those 4 matches. Swimming, who we talked to earlier, gets things underway at 6 p.m. in Macomb Fieldhouse against IUP. And then also, don't forget, women's soccer action against Kutztown at 1 o'clock at Sox Harrison Stadium, which you can see live on ETV and Edinboro.tv. Try to go out and support Edinboro's student athletes. That's all the show we have for this week. Thanks for watching, and go Boro.